Howdy, everyone, and welcome back to the Brewery Underground Podcast, where you can follow us always at Sullivan and Touron breweryadventures.com. I'm Steve Sullivan, and I'm joined by the man again who really, at this point, he needs no introduction, but I'll give him one anyways. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chancellor Craft Beer, Scott Touron. How you doing today, sir?
Man, I'm great. I'm great. I feel good. It's Friday evening. We've not done one on a Friday, and this is awesome.
That's right. That's right. Well, we are definitely excited as we kick off our very first podcast of 2024, and there's going to be many to come. You know, Scott, we've been planning a lot of podcasts lately. We have a guest on who we're going to introduce here in just a moment, but we also want to talk about some of our future shows because we have a couple of them that are lined up in the future, and we do want to mention and promote this a little bit because these folks have been great to us. In about a week or so, we're going to have the folks from 16 Lots Brewery up in the Cincinnati area on. And we've been planning about this. We've been talking about this for a couple of months. And we're going to have them on. And they have been promoting us as well, on their Facebook pages and stuff like that. So we are definitely excited about that. And I know there's some other folks that you've been coordinating with over time that we're also going to have on probably in the coming weeks and months to come.
Yeah, this is cool because 16 Lots is the only brewery that we've talked to so far that I've not been to or had any of their beer to date. So that's going to be fun. I'll get to learn
Yeah.
every single thing about them, like everything that we learn. I don't know anything about them at this point. Also, we've got some stuff coming up that there aren't breweries necessarily, but beer related. We've got a production company. We've got some charitable organizations. So we've got some really cool stuff coming. I'm excited, very excited.
We do. And from time to time, we're going to talk to the folks that organize the craft beer festivals around the Nashville area and beyond. And we're certainly looking forward to that. But today, as we said in the beginning, we do have a guest today. And I am going to let you do the honors of bringing this gentleman in and tell us a little bit more about him.
All right, we have got Dog Road Brewery, Mr. Billy Flynn here with us today out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And Billy, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
Howdy,
Billy,
Billy.
howdy. Thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate it. We've been talking for a couple of weeks or, emailing back and forth and trying to nail down a date. And, man, we're really happy you're here. Really, really excited.
It's my honor. I'm very grateful for the invitation, and more than happy to be here. That's great.
So I discovered you, not that you needed to be discovered, but I came across you at the Beer, Wine, and Shine Festival back in October. And I was telling you earlier, I walked in and I saw this table and this new sign I had never seen before. Dog Road Brewery from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And I immediately shot to you and I was like, who are you guys and where did you come from? How do I not know about you yet? So I was very excited to meet you guys. And tell us a little bit about yourselves. Your family owned and operated?
Yes, sir. It's primarily me, my wife, and my sons. We, do everything that we need to do. I have my daughter. She is the one that comes up with most of the graphics that we've got through. So, I mean, it really is a family event from the beginning to the end. She's the one that's helped get us through to get to Circle R now. We're officially a Circle R company. I mean, she's the one that comes up with our labels for our cans, our beer labels, bottle labels, caps, etc. It's been something that we kind of started as just messing around, and it just kind of seems that we're falling forward more and more and deeper into it. It's just we keep hunting for that final push, a way to get it out to the public. So to do something like this, to get the name out there floating around a little bit more, is just phenomenal.
And hey, before we continue, Billy, do you have a beer there right now? Are you drinking a beer?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, we have a tradition here on the podcast, and we like to start each podcast with a beer. And so Scott and I are going to commence, and we'll get you involved here to open up our beers. You may have one already open.
I do. I was
But-
fixing up another one. Just
You go
hold
right
on a minute.
You go right in. I had one open
It
as
won't
well,
take-
and
All right. Well, I'm opening up mine.
I do. I love that sound of that crack.
Yep.
There we go.
All right.
Cheers,
there's one.
fellas. Cheers.
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 Cheers to all of you.
This is what beer drink is about, though.
Mm-hmm.
Sharing and hanging out with people.
It is just a fellowship, just to relax.
Absolutely.
And my beer is the Ghost Train it's Ghost Train Brewing. It's a Kaleidoscope Sour. So I'll be rating that at the end. And Scott, what are you drinking there, man?
I picked this up today. It's and I think they just dropped it today. It's Southern Grist Apple Crumble Tart Pastry Ale.
Oh,
How
man.
great does that sound?
That's a long name.
It really is. And if you're familiar with Southern Grist, it's going to taste exactly like Apple Crumble Tart Pastry Ale.
Wow. That's cool.
And Billy, what are you drinking there?
I'm drinking an in stock.
That one from Iceland?
Yes, it's from Iceland. Yes. If I get the label spun around for you. In my taste buds, what I'm picking up is they dry hop, and not boil hop. So you get a little bit more of a pop, but it lingers slightly, but not too much, and washes clean.
See, I just like what you just said. So as a brewer and you're brewing things, you can pick up on stuff that other people have made.
Yeah, how it's done in the process. If it's a boil hop or a dry hop, that dry hop always comes through a whole lot stronger and just right in your face as opposed to the boil hop. It's both of them's got advantage, disadvantage. You don't want to overdo it with a dry hop and just have somebody lay down on the floor. It's like, I can't drink this shit. It's always that fine mix of stuff, always.
Do you think it's an acquired taste between the two, or just
possibly? Well, not necessarily. I mean, I don't want to knock anybody's beers. I don't want to say any names, but I think most people, when they drink beer, they want some flavor. They don't want the waterless beers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
No flavor to it. So, especially on the craft side, if people's into craft beers, then they're looking for some flavorful experience, not just your package non-flavor.
Correct. And what I would say too, I was just talking to someone about this earlier, like lagers and pills in the craft beer market now in the last 2 or 3 years, they're excelling. Like there's a lot more flavor than it used to be. I wouldn't touch one 4 years ago because it would just be water, but now everything seems to be fantastic.
Yeah. I love a little bit of flavor with the beer. Just other than that, I'm just drinking water.
Right. Right. And we could drink water without spending $6 on water.
Exactly. Yes.
Could you have imagined 15, 20 years ago being at this point now where the craft beer industry has exploded, and here you are trying to be a big part of it?
Well, on the tail end of, I don't know wherever it ends, but obviously it's come in a long time ago. It's like we were talking prior. It takes a lot of money and a lot of push to get movement in and open to the public. It's not something that it's easily done. It's really not. It requires a large amount of capital.
Let me ask you this. So let me go back a little bit. So I assume you are the original home brewer in the family?
Yes.
How did that start? What piqued your interest? Where did that come from?
Same thing, sitting around, and before I would still venture out and drink all the different beers that I could, but everybody's, you keep complaining about, it's water, it's this, it just doesn't have much, and it just kind of sparked the interest, and so started messing with it, tinkering with it, and then messing more. It's always a tinker. That's why they call it craft. You're always trying to craft something out.
Mm-hmm.
And that went on for a while, and then before actually trying to get a little bit more serious about it, there's always that playful stage, I guess you want to call it.
Sure.
And then it's a long process.
What was your when you first started making beer, what was your first equipment or kit or whatever you got into? What was the first thing you did to start making beer?
That brew in the bag.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, really? So you were a couple steps ahead.
Yeah, just a small brew in the bag kind of thing, And I bought one online recipe kit that comes with, that extract, or came with the extract and stuff like that. And I did that, and I don't mean this in any kind of way, but I did that, but I felt like I was kind of cheating myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then I started, that's when you really start diving into the grains, and you try to, just formulate whatever you do.
Right. You can be creative in that, as opposed to just getting a recipe kit and just making that.
Yes, 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 yeah, yeah. You can take it. I mean, you're still going to be in certain families. Say if you do an ale, you're still going to be in the blonde ale family. You're still going to have similarities with others, but you can come in with a different hop or different heat or cool. How you're doing it, or dry, and create your own. That's I love it. I mean, I really do. It's just trying to get over the next hurdle.
Right.
Is our
There's a lot of trial and error, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, it's incredible.
I was gonna say, about how much time and effort would you say you spend a week just on a lot of this alone?
A lot. I talk about it so much. My wife's like, "Would you please quit talking and talk about something?" You know,
But it's
hey,
your
this
passion.
dead, and I'll say something about, well, what about blah blah blah? She'll say, "Shut up, it's bedtime."
But it's always on your mind, right? It's always something you're kind of looking for the next batch,
Oh,
or evaluating the last one.
yeah, exactly, exactly. I go every now and then. I'll go down to Frothy Monkey. I'm sure y'all are familiar with them.
Yep.
So I think about a year ago or 6, 8 months ago, I turned over samples of beers of different ones. I think I've turned over 4 to the Frothy Monkey and had them put them through their taste testers, their samples, and give me feedback. Just try to create some positivity, get some, because you can depend on your friends or your buddies, but they're buddies, so that's not always accurate, right? Because they don't want to hurt your
Right.
feelings, piss you off, whatever. So I wanted a total uh, a set of people that I didn't know, right? I've stumbled with that. I apologize. So I turned it over to them. They run it through their panels, and they come back buy on, and they give me back feedback on all of them, buy of the 2 different ones. So, and what you were saying about always thinking about beer, so I'll go over there every now and then, and they'll have their hulls of some of their coffee beans out there that's going to go in the refuge, going to go in the trash. So I look at it, and I was talking to them, well, what is that? What could that be used for? How could that be put into it where it'd be slightly something, but not too coffee-ish, It never ends. No matter what grain you come across, hop, etc., it never ends. That thought
It's
process.
amazing. It's amazing because we've talked to other brewers, and it's kind of the same mentality. They're always, if you're walking down the grocery store aisle, right, and
Yeah.
you think, oh, there's something I can make a beer out of that, or I don't know, jalapeno or anything. It's amazing that you got that. I could just call it a brewer's mentality. You're always thinking about what can I make next, or what ingredients can I use next.
Yeah, what would just be palatable and presentable to people. I don't think that ever ends, really.
Right.
Not,
And then you try to make it into something, right?
yes, something, and then you can kind of start bending and twisting and crafting these to where you can kind of lose your perspective of where you started from. And then you're like, man, I've got way over here. we need to change direction. And, I'll get out my books and I'll start flipping back through pages. All right, now I did this, and this is the result. I've done it several times to where I've even swapped up grains because moving from this grain to this grain has got different characteristics. One add a little bit of this, or say a sweetness, and this and be a little bit drier. So my recipes, in the very beginning, I'd sort of lose track of where I started. And then as I got a little bit better with it, then I've tried to track that down to where I don't get askew. So if a supplier you're buying from doesn't have this particular, I would substitute it with another and run the recipe. Well, it would give just slightly different characteristics in the beer, of just the difference in the same grain, just a different manufacturer of that grain. So that's always my challenge, is to try to not get lost in the recipe, to stay on the same plane with the same ingredients. and just try to work a hop in or even a yeast in to get a different profile on the backside of the beer.
So you're in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is for people that are not familiar with Murfreesboro. It's south of Nashville. Are you from the Murfreesboro area?
Mm-mm. No, sir, I am not. We moved up here about 6 or 7 years ago. We did. We moved up from Grinder Switch, if you know where that is, out of Centerville, Tennessee. It's way out there.
Okay.
Minnie Pearl, she was from Grinder Switch.
Yeah. All right.
Yes, yes.
Can I ask you, do they make other spirits down that way?
That everything is made down there.
like there's maybe distilling some things down that way.
Yeah. Yes.
Just
So what do you think of the whole movement of craft beer breweries in Nashville? Do you think it's growing quite a bit, or are you impressed by what you've been seeing over time in the Middle Tennessee area?
Yes, sir. It seems to be. I mean, obviously, because there's more and more and more. There's enough market share for everyone. I believe. There's so many people here because I think the deal with the craft is not to be Budweiser. Nobody's trying to be Bud, I don't think, right? Or
Right.
anybody else. It's just trying to put yours and your take out there for people to enjoy. That's the bottom line. I think, well, I can't speak for everyone, but most of the people involved in this, it's just that it's not to be huge. It's just, this is my take on this. And, hopefully it's appealing to, a certain segment, or at least a large enough segment of people to support you.
Yep. And I think I could speak for Steve on this. Is the last thing we want to drink is Budweiser. We're looking for something new every single time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When I mentioned seeing your table at the excited, new brewery, new beers, excited. That's we're on the hunt for that all the time. And I think a lot of craft beer drinkers just are anyway.
Right. Yeah. Just the variety, it's just to get away from the standard, that's out in every store. You're going to drink the same brand, no matter if you're in a Shell and Exxon or, Bubba's. Mm-hmm. It's going to be the same stack of beers, and they're all stacked up there in 12 packs. And that cardboard 12 pack it feeds the masses, not the craft brewing people. They tend to like a little bit more flavor profile in, whatever area, but just something different.
Yeah, and for me, like it's I like different beers. I also like different styles, and that seems to be a theme kind of everywhere you go. Everybody's kind of brewing multiple styles, which is great. I love a Czech Pils and a stout at the same time. Get a flight somewhere and have 4 or 5. Steve, you've seen some of I've seen some of your your flights, and you have a red one and a green one and a black one and a yellow one.
Well, yeah, and the funny thing is when you talk about that, is I have discovered a lot about myself over the last year and a half, 2 years, and we've been doing this podcast, and we've made out like our top 10 list of our favorite beers, and I'm looking going, man. I mean, there are certain styles of beers that I've come to realize that I like more than others, and it's a learning process, but I love it. I mean, it's the same thing. I love going into different breweries and trying all sorts of different varieties. There's nothing that I look at that I go, I'm not going to try that. We had sort of a joke, and I think you'll love this on a couple of previous podcasts where a group of us were out and one of the it was Highwire in Nashville that had a pickle beer, and I didn't taste the pickle beer. I didn't put it on a flight, and then I happened to be out traveling up in Ohio, and I saw a can of a pickle beer, and I tried it. It was a sour. Wasn't my most favorite beer I've ever had. But now I'm going, you know what? I'm going to be on the lookout for pickle beers every once in a while because why not, right? It's a fun experience to just try different craft beers and different styles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Just, something out of the norm.
If I want to drink water, I'll go to the tap,
Exactly.
How many beers would you say that you've come up with so far in different styles and things like that that you've been able to brew?
I believe I have 7 different ones. The only ones that I haven't nailed down is a Imperial IPA. It's just that's kind of really not. I mean, I'll drink them. I like Voodoo Rangers IPAs. I mean, I do. I think they're very good beers, actually. But I just haven't nailed that down yet on my side. But and as far as the stout, I haven't cleared the stout yet. You know, was I mean, I've drank and I've tried coffee stouts. It's just my palate really just doesn't go there. Is like, I got to have.
Yeah.
I just
I'm the
can't.
same way. I'm not a coffee drinker.
Yeah,
On occasion, I'll go get a beer that has coffee in it or a craft beer. But almost each and every time I realize I'm like, man, I'll just give it to somebody else because I'm not gonna drink this whole thing.
yeah,
But sometimes you never know. You don't know until you try it.
yes,
Well, that's
that's
right.
right. I believe another time I was at the Frothy Monkey, they gave me is it? It ain't blueberry. It's what is the brewery? Is it Harvest Brewery that's out of East Tennessee? Are y'all familiar with them?
What's it called? You think?
I think maybe it may be Harvest. I can't really remember right now.
Okay.
I'm struggling with the name of it, but anyway, they did a beer with Frothy's beans, their coffee
Okay.
beans. So
Okay.
they got home and try, and it was kind of that. What his reaction was, okay, I'll try, but here, you try this with me. Let's
Yeah.
It was a trade-off.
Yeah, it's not in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not my favorite thing to do.
I have a theory about people who don't like different styles, right? Maybe you like IPAs and like sours, but you don't like stouts. My theory is there's a beer out there for someone that will bridge that gap
Mm,
into that style of beer. I think there's a beer for
yeah,
everyone. You might say, "Hey, I don't like stouts, I don't like stouts," and then you find that stout, and you're like, "Oh, I kind of like this a little bit," and then you find something else, and you kind of play off of that, and it builds. It's my theory because I've done it. I didn't like hoppy beers initially, and now it's IPAs are my go-to. Like I can't get enough of them.
yeah, yeah. I would agree with that. It's always because it's the craft. It's hence the name craft beer. There's always that subtlety that just ever so much turns the corner from maybe something you don't like to something. Okay, yeah, that's good. It's packed. I would agree. You're right on point with that.
Yeah, and there's kind of a sliding scale in that genre, whatever that genre is. Like you might the one end of the scale might be I don't know terrible, and the other end might be really good as far as what you like. So you find the one that you like into that style. Who knows? Maybe it bridges
Hmm.
that gap again. So
Yeah.
was there a beer that got you into craft beer versus
Uh,
coming from Budweiser or whatever?
yeah. Hmm. I would say I don't know. Maybe Shiner. I like
Yeah.
Shiner Bock.
Okay.
Back. You know, Shiner now is more mainstream
Yeah.
nowadays. It's pretty popular, but way back when it came out, it was slightly different. So I went with that and brewery that's down there on 21st, Blackstone. They would
Yes.
have different beers
Yeah.
inside the restaurant. Yeah, so go in there and drink some of their stuff. It was
Yep.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting you talk about that because when I came to Nashville over 20 years ago, we've talked about this on the podcast. There were only a couple of breweries. Blackstone was one of them. You really could hardly go, maybe three or four other places to go get anything other than the regular mainstream beers that were out there. And so I have a special place in my heart for Blackstone. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was one of Nashville's. I won't say I can't really say if it was the first, but one of the big first. That they put it out there and right there on West End in the restaurant, and it was phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
How great was that restaurant too, by the way?
yeah, I've ate there. Yes, it was good food.
Yes. I
I've been
missed
there.
the fish and chips.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean,
It was good stuff.
they're still doing it, so they've got a tremendous following. They really do.
They are. I love. They are the oldest brewery in Nashville right now. That they were here 2004, and then I think Yazoo was next after that. But great Nashville beer scene. Uh,
Hmm.
question for it. Silly question. However, Dog Road Brewery. Where does the name come from?
Okay, I kind of thought you'd ask this.
We got to.
Down there in Grinder Switch, we was there's this old man. His name was Joe Plunkett. He was an old codger, man. You know, the kind that keep a 3 or 4 day scruff. You know, bit back and he'd run down his cheek, and he's in there just talking to you. He was that kind from way back when. He was old man, and we was over at his house drinking beer one day just to visit with him for a minute. And his sister lived up the road. Well, she got a dog, another dog, right? And that dog would just tear down through there and just come down there and run around. And Joe had a couple, and that dog come down through there and he started raising Cain and spitting. He said, "It's all we need around here is another damn dog." Drinking beer, and then we get up. Time for us to go later. And I looked at her and I said, "I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but that's the name of it. It's going to be Dog Road Brewery." So the name goes to Joe Plunkett.
Do you own dogs?
Yes, the dogs in the thing are my dogs. The oldest one, he was gone. He passed. He was a beagle, and a boxer mix. That was our first, and then English bulldog, and then an American bulldog, slightly taller than English. But yeah, those are our physical dogs. That's why I'm saying thing that you see that encompasses and everybody that's involved it's different facets of the family, even up to the name generation, has come through with it.
Yeah, I'm looking at your website right now, and can you tell people how to get to that website if they want to find out more information about y'all?
Yeah, it's still partly under construction, but it's just dogroadbrewery.com, and that'll take you there. And it has a little bit of the story, some details. Our beer cellar is not listed yet. We haven't put pictures up or any info of any of the beers or the cans. Uh, it's like I said, it's kind of a work in progress.
Sure.
And I think it has, hats and shirts on there, but all that's a work in progress. The pictures, styles. It's it's challenging. It truly is. It's challenging to try to get it all done and to move this wagon down the road. Anybody wants to see us or know anything about us, they can go to dogroadbrewery.com.
Where do you
Yeah, I
see
can.
you all in about a year or so? Where do you hope to be in about a year?
And hopefully it'd be on a lot of people's taps. It ain't just the beer recipes. That's the thing about craft beer. It's either you're a gypsy brewer and somebody allows you to come in and run their system to put your stuff out. But not only that, but if you do that, you have to have a place or distribution to be able to move the product. So it's just not like I can just walk up or call Bounty Distribution and say, "Hey, come get my beer and put it in your shelf." It don't work like that.
Right.
It's I mean, I've contacted them. I've contacted them about that. I invited them to the show, the Tennessee Beer, Wine, and Shine, actually, come drink the beer. But it is a hard process to do.
Can I ask you what? So I saw you at a beer fest, obviously. How do you have any coming up in 2024 that you guys have confirmed? Are you looking at any right now?
Yes, you might be able to help me, actually. If you know a
We'll
lot of
try.
people, we're trying to get into the Bridgestone, to the Predators.
Okay.
I've signed up with the forums and I emailed them personally to try to get in, but I haven't received anything back. I don't know what their time schedule is, or I really don't even know what their lineup was last year. I don't know if they're more mainstream package type beer or if they're truly craft beer, smaller scale. I really don't know, but I wanted to just get. I was gonna try to get in that venue, and I know I'll do the Shakespeare venue back up here in Murfreesboro again.
Okay.
It's in April, and then Bridgestone is in June, and I know I'll be back at the Tennessee Beer, Wine, and Shine in September.
Okay. Not that we've got an upcoming podcast with a production company that does a lot of these events. I don't know them yet. We've traded some emails. Well, maybe we can have a conversation with them too, and maybe try to help you out there.
Absolutely. Any push, any name out there in front of somebody, anything it's always a tremendous help.
I said, you did mention right before the podcast, we asked, have you done any podcasts yet? And this is your very first podcast that you've done.
Yes, sir. First one. Yes, first one.
It's only our 8th, so.
Hey, we're going down the same road together.
We absolutely are. Speaking of which, Shakespeare, and I didn't know about this beer fest until I saw it on your website. So thank you, because I added that to our webpage. But you won an award. You guys won an award there, and it didn't for fan favorite. I believe it was.
Yes, sir, we did. It was pretty cool. Let's see, Half Batch Brewery, which is out of Hendersonville. They were there. They sat at the table beside us. Dirty Bird was there. I think Prohibition Brewing was there. I believe they're a tap room in Murfreesboro. And I think it was 14 different breweries or startups trying to get to the next stage kind of breweries that was there. Dark Shadow Brewing, I know y'all saw them at the thing. They were there.
We know them, yes.
Yep.
We like those. They're friends of ours.
Yes, they were there, and several. Who was that? Backbone Brewing. They were there. That was funny. They come down there and jumped in our picture. I thought it was cool. Yes, we were swapping beers. You know how that goes. Wow, pretty cool. But very nice. Everybody was nice people. I mean, everybody was phenomenal. But the fans come around when you come in. You pay your fee, and you get a poker chip just like you do in Vegas. And you just walk around and you taste and sample everybody's beers. And then whenever you found your favorite beer, or whoever you think made the best beer, whatever the criteria is, you toss your poker chip into the bucket. And then in the event, then they come along at the close of it, collect the buckets, count them up, and then announce the winner. And luckily it was us. So
what was the beer you won for?
I don't know. I had Bitchy Pearl. It was a blonde. No, I had Rough Life. It was a blonde. I had Stray Dog Strut. That is my Hefeweizen. It was pretty good. And I had another blonde. I can't remember which one I took. So I just took 2 blondes and Hefeweizen to that event. Yes.
Okay. I do love the beer names. Obviously, with the dog theme, you could go forever with the beer names. Right?
Oh man, I have more names than I have beers to fill the name.
And that's really it's funny you mentioned that, because that's really one of the things that when we get folks on, like, where do you come up with these names? Is it something that sometimes you're just sitting around at the kitchen table, or you're out driving and it just pops up in your mind, like, I gotta write that down. That's the new name for a beer.
Yeah. Well, no, like Stray Dog Strut, like our oldest dog, Rabbit. Rabbit, he was the one we call Rabbit. I had another name for another beer for Rabbit, but he was our pound puppy, and he had, when that dog walked, he just had a natural strut to him. It was pretty incredible. So hence the name Stray Dog Strut. So Bitchy Pearl is our English bulldog, and she is just that. Bitchy Pearl. That's not profanity over the internet. It's just that is her mentality. She is a female bulldog, and she has every bit of the attitude to go along with it.
So I think that was the one when I saw you guys at Beer, Wine, and Shine. That was on your list. That was the one that caught my attention. Bitchy Pearl, Light Lager, Rough Life, Blonde Ale, and then Smooth Talker, Dog Walker.
Dog Walker. That's Ollie. That's for the American bulldog. He kind of that way. His demeanor is he's just a cool cat, and when he walks, he knows he's a big dog. So when he does it, he just shags it. It's just the names are original to the dogs. It's pretty cool.
They're fast. And then is there like a personality that kind of goes with the beer? You think? Like,
yes, I think so.
That's funny.
So. Yeah, we're pretty happy with it. With all of them, like I said, it's almost like falling forward. It's not something forced. It's not something coerced. It just kind of is. Everything's just sort of happening. Naturally it's a slow progression, but
Sure.
just kind of how it's been going for us. It's pretty cool. I mean, I've enjoyed the ride so far.
You mentioned something earlier a little while ago about people being friendly and stuff, and I love talking to people. The beer scene in the Nashville area, uh, the breweries seem to be friendly. There's a community amongst brewers and stuff.
Yeah.
Have you experienced that with any other breweries and other people?
Yes, sir. I was uh, shortly after the win at the and I turned over to the beer, the Frothy Monkey, for them to run through their taste panels. I was previewing some of my beer up here at a place called Happy Sports Bar up here in Murfreesboro on the square, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, exactly, since you're from Laverne, y'all both, I'm sure, have been there several times.
Yeah.
So I was sitting doing the beer. We sitting at the front counter where the girls usually do, and Bobby, then he was the general operations manager. And I explained the beers to him. I poured about just a small sample, and he just put it to his lips, said, "Cut back down." On the first one, he said, "What else you got?" And I'm thinking, "Holy smoke!" All right, so I put the other one in front of him. He tips it just barely a little bit, and he puts both cups together and turns around and drops them in the trash. And I thought, okay, this is great, right? And then he said, I'll give you X amount for a case of this, and I'll give you X amount for a case of this. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then we're talking, and then somebody walks by, and then they come back and walk by, and they say, "Hey, Bobby, how you doing?" And he said, "You previewing beer?" And Bobby said, "Yeah, I'm previewing some beer." And he said, "Can I try it?" I said, "Sure." And I got out my cups, poured him some, set them up in front of him. I said, "This is that." He drank it. He drank the other, and he said, "Oh, that's good beer." He said, "Where are you at?" I said, "No, I said, we're not open to the public yet." I said, "I've gone through all the legality, trying to get everything done on the backside. Now I'm trying to get the push out to the public one way or another." And he said, he said, "That was good beer." He said, "I'll brew this for you." I said, "Oh, really?" And I didn't know who he was. I said, "That's awesome." He stopped, he poised, he turned around, took his card out of the wallet. He said, "I'm Carl Meyer with a Black Ebby." He said, "I'll brew this beer for you." He said, when we had a conversation, we had several conversations since then and emails back and forth. But yeah, I could get it done on that scale, but I have to have the distribution. I have to have the push. Yeah. You can't do 20 barrels and I'm going to go out here and talk to Leroy and, Tommy and Sarah and try to get it in their thing because the beer would expire.
Sure.
Need the distribution to get it going. But to answer your question about the community, now Carl Meyer, he's got his own thing. He didn't have to do nothing. That just shows what you're saying about the friendliness and the community itself. It ain't I'm bigger than everybody else. It's just, hey, we're all in the same boat. We're trying to get it out there. If I give a helping hand, I'll give a helping hand. But that's a true story.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what we've heard is, yeah, like people want to help each other. Breweries want to help other breweries
Yeah.
and stuff, and especially up and comers. Like, man, let's get you going.
Yeah. It ain't the short man syndrome with people. Not in this industry. I think because we all realize exactly what it is and appreciate what it is. So it's how can I lend a helping hand?
Yep.
Help you, and then you turn around and help them. I mean, it's always something.
Yep.
That's
You mentioned
the part about it.
It's a fantastic story. And then, so our friends Dark Shadow were on earlier. They said the same thing. They had people help them along the way, and then now in turn they're trying to help people. People come up and ask them questions about how do we do this and that, and they're trying to help them. So I love hearing that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's the community. It's just what it is. You can't really complain about it. It's a really good thing. I mean,
And
we've got so much enjoyment out of it. It's enjoyment / frustration because have the enjoyment, yes, but how can I get it to it? That's the natural human side. How can I go the next step? Okay, I took 2. Can I take 3? Can I take 4?
Mm-hmm.
And to get to the next one, it takes somebody there to push hand. And you got to have something. This ain't a one-man operation. It doesn't work like that. Too many factors.
Yeah, agreed. So, how many beers do you guys try to brew in a year? Or do you kind
Oh,
of
man, we're
do you,
small.
I-
We're
do you
small.
try to wait for the do you try to wait for like the beer fest to kind of come around and then you kind of do
No,
something for
I've got
that or
2 in the can that everybody's wanting, and everybody, I'll pay you money. I'll pay you money. Uh, so I've got 2 that is I'm giving to various people that they've been sitting waiting on it. So I'm always brewing some kind of beer to have some kind of beer on hand to drink to pass along. But I wished I could have that one. It would have been cool if I could have got it to you. Just it won't be ready for probably another week or 2.
oh yeah.
But it's a new twist on another recipe because I tried to use a different yeast with it, and I think it's going to be really, really good. It's just a matter of letting it age a little bit more. But when I get some of that done and I get it bottled, I will be sure and give y'all some. And then
We
if you're on the
appreciate that.
taste
Yeah.
it, hey, we tried it and it wasn't good.
Yeah.
I had one of those recently and it went down the drain, so I understand.
we
Yeah.
Steve, you had a question?
Yeah, we definitely appreciate that. And hey, as we're going to move into the last call for alcohol on the podcast here, certainly a few more questions. One thing I'm really curious about, of all the breweries that you mentioned and some of the ones that you have not mentioned in the Nashville area, Middle Tennessee area, what are some of your favorites? Like, what would be like your top 3 favorite breweries that you like to go to?
I told you I like Blackstone.
Yep.
Okay. I like them. Uh, I'm going to give Carl a nod. He's got a nice operation over there. He's got quite a bit going on. So they're 2. And one that I haven't been to that I want to go to is Angry Gnome.
Mm. Crazy
I,
gnome over there? Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I've heard a lot about that and the startup, and I believe he still works his day job because I don't guess it's many day drinkers in this place. I'm assuming is what I was told. And like I said, I'm assuming, okay? But just because of the place that he's in, you know what I mean?
And we had them on our podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a
Oh,
Yeah, we've
couple.
got his contact information if you need like an email address or something if you want.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's at like the next spot or the next step of where I'm trying to get to, kind of thing. So I think it's cool that he's there.
He was one of the ones that he kind of inspired my question was about the community thing, about people helping people. He was one of the ones that we asked about and had a good story too. So we can put you in touch with him if you need to.
Yeah, sure. I guess his answer was about the same.
Yeah, like he had another brewery that I think they were sharing some glassware or something that you couldn't if to buy a whole pallet was too much, so they shared with another brewery the glass like a pallet of glassware or something and kind of split it up and it saved them a bunch of money and stuff. So yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Anything like that. I mean, it's a great community. It truly is.
Give us pros and cons of brewing beer.
Oh my gosh.
Are there more cons than
Yes,
pros?
yes. The cons are hit you off. It's phenomenal on the backside, and you're like, okay. So I've been waiting on this for how long? Because uh, I tweaked it the wrong way, possibly. That's the biggest con. The time, the effort, it's the love. So that's not a con. I mean, I could
Right.
spend all day brewing beer. I mean, it's just something I truly enjoy to do. Uh, so that's the only con is if the craft and how you're crafting this one to that one, the recipes, and if it doesn't slightly meet your expectations on the backside, that's the only con that I really have with it. Uh, the pros is everything. I mean, from the conception, the passion of going through it, the labor of love going through it. But the biggest one is when you get to the end of it and you set it in front of strangers and you say, all right, what do you think? Okay, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's the biggest. It ain't got to be the best, because what is the best? Okay, that scale, nobody can hit, but just is it palatable? Is it good? Is it, would you buy it? Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest pro to me.
Right.
It's just to the outside public that's not my buddy, and it's not my neighbor, or it's not my friend, or any other way. It's just some stranger. I love that part of it.
Right. Just
How many things can go wrong between the conception to the brew, to the fermentation, to the racking, to the kegging, to the filtering? I mean, there's a lot that could happen.
shit, just the cleaning alone at the beginning, right? That's not right.
Yes, that's a labor of love right there.
That's a labor of love.
Be a labor of love.
It's the worst part
man.
too. Ugh.
I made one time. I was experimenting with the Hefeweizen, and I was trying a bunch of different temperature variations to get it. I mean, I had this beer, and when it comes out fresh, it's like liquid cocaine. You cannot put it down. As soon as you drink it, you put your glass down, you got it. I mean, it's an instant reset. You have to pick it back up and take another drink. It's crazy. Phenomenal beer, a little volatile on the backside. If it gets about 4.5 to 5 months of age, it just something happens in the chemistry of the beer. If I pasteurize it could hold possibly, because I didn't pasteurize them as I passed them out. But the older ones, I got one of them back, and then that's when the deterioration of the beer. But in the youth of the beer, man, I'm telling you, it's like liquid cocaine.
Yeah.
You have to get another and another and another. It was awesome. Came it down with the one that I took to the Shakespeare. It's a little bit more tamer version of that. Just, more we'll put it in front of people. But that one on that temperature variation, oh my gosh, that beer just make you go nuts.
Well, you'll let us know when you make that one again, huh?
Yes. Hey, samples I'll pass along. Yes.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Looking forward to it. Well, we're looking forward to seeing your progress down the line. Before we get out of here, we want to remind people once again, if they're trying to find your beer and trying to find you and follow you, talk a little bit about how they can find you once again out there on social media and everywhere else.
Okay. The website is dogroadbrewery.com. And it has a little bit of our story, and it has our store for hats and shirts, etc. And then the only other social media that we do is Instagram, and it's Dog Road Brewery. So, feel free to join, welcome, help us out with the numbers. It's
all right.
Because
yeah, man, we're big fans of yours, and even bigger now after talking to you.
Yeah.
Can't wait to have more of your beer and find you at beer fests.
Yes. When this is get ready, I'll bottle it. When this gets ready, excuse my grammar. And this last one ages, and then I bottle it. I'll pass it along to y'all, and you can, mention it on another podcast as you sample it.
We appreciate you coming on, and we will certainly be catching up with you soon. And for Scott Touron, I'm Steve Sullivan, and this has been the Brewery Underground Podcast.
Cheers.